All right, guys, we're back for the start of the second episode on this truck. And we're going to be starting with a carburetor rebuild kit because the carburetor on this truck is leaking really bad. I mean, it runs and drives, but the main seal, I'll show you, that goes around the top of the carburetor is leaking really bad. It's got the two seals, the two halves of the carburetor together. So we jumped on Rock Auto, got us a carburetor kit because O'Reilly's and stuff apparently doesn't carry them anymore, at least according to the O'Reilly's by my house. So we're gonna pull that carburetor off. We're going to, depending on how motivated I feel, we're either just going to replace that one gasket or we might rebuild the whole carburetor. I haven't decided how motivated I am on that yet. We got a lot of work done in the shop the last couple of weeks. I got a lot of stuff cleaned out of here. But on the flip side, I ended up with a lot of stuff. My neighbor moved out. So I got his welding table from him. So I've got a nice welding table now. I also got a old beat up Waterloo toolbox. Probably won't be doing anything with that. The wife wants to paint it and sell it maybe. I got a big cast iron wood stove. Check that baby out. That's the bottom, that's the legs, there's the top. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with this thing. Probably sell it. Probably, I don't know. Yeah, I also got his air compressor from him, which that's already for sale on Marketplace. I got this big knack box from him. I've always wanted one of these and I pretty much got it for free. So I can't complain about that. I got a horizontal bandsaw, which needs a lot of work, but everything on it functions. So that's pretty cool. It needs a blade. There's the blade laying on the ground there for it. So that's pretty cool. And then I got this trailer finished up. And then you can see where I was waxing and polishing my Jeep, because that's back on the road now. So all that's sitting there. Yeah, as you can tell, anything in my shop that's a surface pretty much immediately becomes a workbench. But yeah, so let's get this carburetor off this truck and get that rebuild started. We'll show you how we go about doing that. All right, it might be hard to see here from the camera, but I went ahead and there's 6 bolts, little Phillips head screws that hold the top of these 2-barrel carburetors on. So I went ahead and pulled those 6 screws just to get to this main gasket. Like I said, this is the one that was leaking real bad. And this carburetor was dry, and I'm not sure why, because there should be fuel sitting in here. But anyways, long story short, all 6 of those screws were loose, and I mean loose. If the gasket itself hadn't been blown out, like actually broke, I could have just tightened those 6 screws down and probably had a non-leaking carburetor. But I'm gonna start, I know it's the lazy way out, but let's face it, that's what most people would do. I'm gonna just go ahead and replace that one gasket. I mean, the carburetor runs great. I've driven this truck. The carburetor runs great. So I'm just gonna take this one gasket. I guess I'll save the rest of this rebuild kit in case I do ever want to rebuild the whole darn thing. Let's see, is this it? Yeah, here it is. There's the replacement gasket. Just put that on there and tighten her down, and hopefully she doesn't leak. And I'll just put the rest of this kit away. Maybe I'll end up pulling it off and rebuilding it later anyways, who knows. But like I said, I did drive this truck, I mean, granted, only around the parking lot for 5 minutes before I before I pulled it in the shop. So get this old gasket off here. I'm gonna have a little bit of cleanup to do. But yeah, right here, you can actually see the staining where it was leaking. It was pouring out right here. My head in the way? I don't know. It was pouring out right there. So, all right, I'll finish getting this cleaned back up, and then, like I said, I didn't take any of these linkages off the side over here. Some of those are a pain in the butt to get off. So after I get this cleaned up, I'll just flip her back closed and tighten her down and start her up, and hopefully she don't leak. But I'll get back to you when that happens. You know, I might be kind of a shill for Snap-on tools because, you know, I own a lot of them and I always talk them up to everybody. But there's a few things that I own Snap-on that I just don't think I would want to live without. One of them is their scrapers. Now, I've had Huskies and Harbor Freights, and I can't remember if it's Mac or Matco, but I've got two of that. I got one of them too. And Snap-on scrapers are just good. They're just good. I don't know how to say it. And you know, along with their ratchets, you'll always hear me up talk. I don't think anybody makes a better ratchet. But these are good scrapers, man. And I've got their carbon ones too. They're whatever they're high carbon ones. They tell you don't use them on aluminum because it'll actually gouge the aluminum. They are right. I've done it on heads. I'm going to scrape this nice and clean. And then I'm going to take a wire wheel to these real quick just to make sure these surfaces are nice and spotless. Get all the debris out of there. I'm going to vacuum out down in there too, even though it looks clean. But then we'll put that gasket on there and we'll be good to go. Okay, now when I'm doing these like pot metal things like carburetors and stuff like that where the metal itself is really soft, when I'm cleaning them with a wire brush, I like to use these really fluffy wire brushes. I think most people will agree they're a lot less abrasive than the real short, tough ones. These ones are nice and fluffy. They make plastic ones too. They have little bitty wires inside the plastic, and I've got a bunch of those over there. But if you just go lightly, I said you don't gotta dig into it. Just slowly lightly brush the surface. They'll, as you can tell, it's coming nice and clean, and it's not gouging into that metal at all, which is exactly what we want to see. We don't want to gouge the metal. Now, I grabbed some paper towel because I'm going to stuff it in the other side of that carburetor to try to keep from shooting too much crap down in there when I clean this. And these big fluffy ones are a little easy. Well, look what I just did. These big fluffy ones are a little easier on the fingers if you nick your fingers with them. Top pass looks pretty good. Just a little discoloration. Alright, the top half looks pretty good. And then when I do the bottom half, I'm going to spin to the outside so it throws any debris to the outside and not the inside. Is this the perfect? Absolutely the hell it's not perfect. but I'd like to tell you this is the first time I've done this, but it's absolutely not. And you know what? It's worked in the past, so why wouldn't it work this time? All right, nice and clean now. Let's go ahead and put this back together with the new gasket here. And we'll see how she does. Hopefully, she doesn't leak. At least I'm 99.9% sure that was the leak. We'll find out, won't we? All right, we got that flipped back over now. Got it in place. Now there's a couple of plungers and stuff in there. You got to make sure line back up in the right place when you stick it back on there. And then you kind of got to push it down and put some tension on it when you're putting it in there, because those springs want to push it back up. Let's go ahead and get these 6 screws back in. I like to get them all started first. I don't tighten them down. I get them all the way to where there's about maybe 2 turns left on each of them. That way I can actually make sure I get them all started. And that way if the gasket's off just slightly, I can kind of shimmy the gasket back and forth a little bit to get them lined back up. But that shouldn't be a shock to anybody who's been wrenching for a little bit. All right. Looking good. One more. All right. Now I'm going to tighten them all down. I have no clue what the torque spec on these are, but that feels about right. 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 And you guessed it. That feels about right. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to see about getting her started. I got to put a battery in it. I'll be back with you guys once I get the battery back in. Alright, I sprayed the whole thing down with some brake clean. We got a battery put in her. Now we're going to go ahead and start her up and see if she leaks. I guess I'll give her some pumps with the throttle. right, now I know this probably shouldn't be at the top of the priority on my list of things to do to this truck, but I really want to put the dash back together. I mean, it looks rough without having the dash in it, but the problem is I have a whole big box of parts here. I'm not sure. I mean, I know roughly where some of this shit goes. Well, obviously this is the dash bezel. This seat is very crusty. That's a part for the shifter. There's the boot for the floor shifter. There's the floor piece for the floor shifter. That goes like that somehow. I just realized there's a cord running across the floor to the power box control box over there. I don't know what that does. But, you know, that goes here somehow, pretty sure. That's an extra HVAC control. That is a headlight knob. It's got to be with all the different terminals on the back. And I've got a headlight knob, so maybe not a headlight knob? I don't know. There's another selector switch, but in chrome for the HVAC. Oh, that is the panel that goes there. Here's the radio. But there ain't nothing wrong with the radio. So, but I am missing every last piece of hardware that holds this dash together. So maybe I won't be putting this together today like I thought I was going to. I mean, self-tappers will do wonders for all of this, but I mean, these plugs in here don't even match up to the radio. This must be a newer radio, maybe? I'll tell you what I am going to do for now, though, is I'm going to shove this in that hole. It ain't going to work because the connectors in here are wrong. I'm not sure why. We might have to do some research on that. Oh, no, like, hold up. Found a connector buried down in there that looks a lot like the one that goes in the back of this radio. Is there another one? Then what's this big one go to? There's the antenna cord. Okay, so that goes in there. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna plug this in, because that clearly goes there. I'm going to plug this in, because that clearly goes there. I've never had one of these first gen dashes apart. I own two of these trucks already. I've got a 79 and a 91 back home, but I've never actually had one of these dashes apart in one of these trucks. Alright, that fits there. Whether it's supposed to or not, that's the debate, but it fits there. I'm gonna go get some self-tappers. Alright, so I got my box of universal hardware here, aka self-tappers. Now, there's probably some Dodge purists out there that are going to cringe at about what I'm about to do. But I also believe that most people know and realize that what this truck is. And it really doesn't matter. That fit perfectly. I don't have the ashtray for this truck, I don't think. I just realized that. That's disappointing. What do you think? I plugged it in. Do you think it works? Probably not, but we're gonna try. Oh, battery's disconnected. You're a dumbass. Dumb. Now does the radio work? Probably not, and I don't have hopes and dreams that it will. Truck cranks though. Nope. But to be honest with you, I don't even know if this radio's good. It was just in the truck. So, but that's back in. Let's go ahead and put this bezel back on. Now, this bezel tucks up under. Oh, there we go. I don't know why I was fighting a minute ago. But what is still fighting me here? Is that smaller? Can't be. No, that's the right size. There we go. Now we're going to take some of these short ones because I don't want to put long ones in there. Beautiful. Interesting. Oh, it tells us the wheel is extremely loose. I don't know why. Some of these don't want to line up, but that's all right. I don't need all of them. I think we're just being greedy if we get all of them. There we go. See? It's all coming together. Look at that. And that one. Look at that. Oh, love it. And the chrome self-tappers kind of blend right in with the chrome physique of this. I said physique. That's not the right word to use, but that's the word I used. Alright, now when it comes to this thing, you gotta take the shifty shifter off. I'm bummed about not having the ashtray. I'm not gonna lie. I'm bummed about not having the ashtray. That goes on like that. Chrome ring goes over. That ring does not come close fitting that rubber. Oh, it does. Okay, I was wrong. It recesses inside the rubber. Like I said, I've never had a stick shift one of these trucks. That's for sure. Let's peel this goofy carpet back here that he's got in here. Let's take that back off. This is some kind of dyno matting or something he's got in here. Because I'm 99% sure this is the right housing for this. But it doesn't quite want to sit in here right. There we go. That fits good now. So you know what that means? We're going to give her a tap, tap, tap-a-rooney. Tippity tap, 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 tap-a-rooney. Beautiful. That actually felt like that may have went into the factory hole. I might be wrong, but that is what that just felt like. Oh, this rug, he mounted the seats. He actually mounted the seats on this homemade rug deal that he's got going on here. So that's nice. It's really nice. Yeah, that felt like that went into a factory hole, so I like that. That one did not go into a factory hole. We made a hole for that one. Pulling my pants up here. I've been losing weight, guys. I'm down 25 pounds. So that definitely went into a factory hole. So I'm pretty happy about that. But now all my stuff don't fit no more. So I gotta start pulling in belts and pants and everything. I like that. I like that. I think all but one of these so far has gone into a factory hole. That one did not. Nor did that one. Hey, I'll take that average though. Alright, let's put this back over. Even though this part of it I'm gonna have to take back off when I do the transmission. I just want to see it. I just want to see it all put together. When I do the transmission, I meant to say the clutch when I do the clutch. Alright, well, whoever had this before me, which I know who did, I know the guy. I don't know why I just worded it like that. Already must have had a big ass self-tapper in here, because my little self-tappers don't fit in the holes. Not even close. They just spin. That's alright. Not even close. Let me, let's see. I don't know if I've got any in this box long enough to fit. Nope, I don't. Alright, put this back on. Wrong way. There we go. Like that. Same thing, you guessed it. Self-tappers. Now I could start by telling you that these stupid little panels are actually kind of valuable and hard to come by. So I normally wouldn't recommend just shoving some self-tappers in there, but that's what I did. I know these are hard to come by because I've had to buy them for one of my other trucks. You'll pay anywhere between $30 to $60 for one on like eBay, depending on where you get it and what condition it's in and what color it is. But there we go, look how much better that looks. That's not right. That's not right either. But for what this truck is, I'm not losing sleep over it. Now, once again, this is probably the least of my concerns when I should be doing something more fruitful, but I got some Windex here. See how this dash comes back around. Yeah. I don't think this truck has been cleaned in, I bet, 30 years. I'm going with 30 years. I was thinking I could at least maybe get all the dust off of it. You know, for future repairs. I'm also missing the dash light, map light, whatever you want to call it, that goes right here. I bet this thing had a CB in it one time. That looks like where a CB was mounted. Unleaded gasoline only, in case you confused it with a diesel. Which I'm not sure how somebody would. But I've met people. I'm sure you have too. Wow, that looks insanely better than it did. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Coming around by you guys. Just gonna squeeze in here by you guys here and just soak this whole bad boy down. This side, for whatever reason, was not nearly as bad as the other side. But, hey, whatever. Got the seat belts here. What's behind the seat? Did I ever look behind the seat on this truck? Oh, I did. That's right. There's just a couple right. There's some speakers back there. No, nothing in there. This truck is really solid for what it is. I mean, really solid for what it is. Might not look like it from the outside, but it... This thing hadn't sat next to a sandblaster for the better part of 15 years. I probably wouldn't have half the dust and stuff that's on it. Yeah, I know, right? Because cleaning the glass is important, but... Ooh, that is, Remember how I talked about this thing sitting next to a sandblaster? He etched the glass. You can feel it. Yeah. That'll never be perfect again. Oh well. It's good for who it's for. Probably me. I'm going to take the shop vac to this thing real quick and get some more of the nasty crap out of here. So when I'm rolling around on the floor working on it later, I'm not getting totally trashed. Don't know if you can hear me over the vacuum. This thing is so full of sandblasting sand. It's ridiculous. Yeah, at this point, I just cut the volume because nobody wants to listen to a vacuum run for 15 minutes. And then I sped up the time by about 600%. Like I said, nobody wants to listen to a vacuum run. But I'm just vacuuming up all that sandblast sand. The floors, the carpets, the seats, everything was just covered. Absolutely covered in a layer of it. But once I got it all vacuumed out of there, it came out pretty nice. At least the 9 pounds of sandblasting sand is out of it. So all right, now we didn't get as much done in this video as I probably had wanted to. But the big reason for that is the next video is going to be me doing the clutch on this truck. And that's going to be an entire video by itself. So this was just one so I could get a video out, since it's been a couple weeks since I put a video out. And then number two, like I said, because I want to devote an entire video just to doing the clutch on this truck. So thanks for tuning in for this week's installment of Fix This Old Truck, I guess. See you guys back on this truck when we're doing the clutch, hopefully in the next week or two.